afternoon. Picture the scene of today's gospel, a very homey scene. Jesus was a very good friend, close friend of Martha and Mary, two sisters. And he came to their house for dinner. Now I want you to look at Martha. Martha is burdened with much serving. Martha is sweating over the hot stove. Now look at Mary. Mary is quietly sitting at the feet of Jesus, listening to his words. Martha now is getting ticked off with her sister. So she finally speaks up. I'm not making this story up, this is the gospel. She speaks up and she says, Lord, don't you care? Lord, don't you care that my sister is leaving all of the serving to me by myself? Tell her to help me. And the Lord answered, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and worried about many things. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken from her. Oh boy. Now Martha must be really ticked off. She must be thinking something like this. Oh, okay, fine. I'll just sit at your feet too and listen to your words. But there'll be no dinner tonight. And I want you to tell me whether you think this is the better way when you come later on hungry. That's our gospel scene, a very homey scene, huh? Very homey scene. Now traditionally, many writers have used this gospel to contrast the active life with the contemplative life. To say to us that contemplation is better than activity. Okay? But there's a little problem with that. Because I'll bet you that all of us here right now are living the active life. You know, we're living the active life. I'll even bet that many of us here, if we could, we'd say, hey, please give me some peace and quiet in a monastery somewhere. I'd love to have that better part. But you see, this is a misinterpretation of today's gospel. Incorrect interpretation. And St. Bernard reminds us that Martha and Mary are sisters and should not be separated. In other words, we are called to both activity and contemplation. Jesus was not rebuking Martha because she was preparing a good dinner, but because she would not pause from her chores in order to contemplate the truth that was right there before her eyes. And Jesus wasn't saying to Mary, just sit here at my feet forever. No, that's not what the gospel's about at all. Yeah. The contemplative Trappist monk, Thomas Merton, that many of you might be familiar with. Thomas Merton was a true contemplative. And he wrote these words. Contemplation demands to be put to work in service to others, or else it becomes a deadly inertia of spirit. Pretty powerful words. On the other hand, many writers have written, you know, that an unreflective, uncontemplative life is not worth living. You know, if we, without contemplation, without reflection, you know, life can become just very mediocre or joyless, even weary. You know, it's like we without contemplation, without this reflective part of our lives, It's very difficult to find the meaning in what's going on around us, to find our purpose, to find some sense of direction. Many times we feel like we're just sort of going nowhere. That's probably a feeling we've all had. Reminds me of the story of the dad who packed himself and his 6-year-old daughter into the car and took off on a trip. The problem was that he never told the daughter their destination before he started the trip. So after a while on the road, the little girl finally piped up and she said, "Daddy, when we get where we're going, where will we be?" Our life is a journey. When we come to the end of our journey, we want to know who we are and where we come from. So, stay active. We need all of your active service to others in all the little ways and big ways that you do it. But at the same time, give yourself a break and pause to reflect upon the meaning of it. You know, and there is meaning there. You may say, "Well, I don't see a lot of meaning in my life." Oh, it's there. I'm going to share with you once more. I did this once before, but that's okay. I'm going to repeat myself today. Share with you my very first thoughts when I wake up in the morning. Okay? I wake up in the morning, I say, "Yeah, God has given me another day of life. Thank you, Lord." And you know, I know that God does not give me another precious day of life without a purpose. So, Lord, help me to live my purpose today. God has given you another day of precious life. You have a purpose today. A purpose today. I think Jesus is saying to us today, please, you're too precious to go through life without reflection, without contemplating what is going on. Please give yourself a few minutes each day to reflect. It can help you discover your purpose. It can put meaning into your activity. It can make all the